Hello, students. You have a painting portfolio coming up in a few weeks, and I wanted to start talking about it. I am sharing with you in the weekly email the slideshow titled The Painting Portfolio Explained. First, we're going to talk about painting composition. The composition is how the painting is arranged. Some key terms or vocabulary words are background, which is the area that is farthest away from the viewer in an image. Middle ground, and this is the area in the image that is in between the background and the foreground. And finally, the foreground is the area that is closest to you, the viewer, in an image. When you are painting, you are going to start with the background and work your way toward the foreground, adding details last. It just makes the painting process more clear. So first, let's look at some art and brainstorm background, middle ground, and foreground. In the landscape by Peter Bruegel entitled Harvest, you can clearly see the foreground, middle ground, and background. In this painting, the foreground is occupied by the people and the tree. It looks like they may be having lunch or taking some kind of a break. The middle ground encompasses the fields and the building, and the background is way in the distance. It's almost showing some atmospheric perspective where it looks very dull and faint. And there's some water and ships and trees and buildings back there as well. So take a look at these other images on the right. Kind of think about foreground, middle ground, and background. Here's a group of paintings by surrealist artists. You have Salvador Dali's The Persistence of Memory in the top left corner. Next to that, you have M.C. Escher's Tuan Tree. And then Marc Chagall's Double Portrait. And finally, Paul Klee's Insula du Camera. These are all surrealist works, and you can see the variety in subject matter and in technique. But they're all considered surrealist works because they have to do with dreams, with portraying the world to look realistically, but not in a way that is possible or plausible. And just take a minute and look at background in some of these images. Foreground and middle ground. What are some things you would like to include in your background, foreground, and middle ground? You also want to consider color, and you can use some of the different color families that we've talked about. For example, warm colors, cool colors, monochromatic colors, complementary colors, or even analogous colors. And Hokusai has used mostly monochromatic blues, but then brought in a little bit of the complement of blue in orange of the boats in the sky. When you choose your colors, remember to create different values of the color to make the piece more realistic and three-dimensional. A tint or a lighter version of a color is created by adding white. A shade or a darker version of the color is created by adding black. However, sometimes black is too dark, and you can try instead the colors complementary. So the color across from it on the color wheel. Finally, when you add your details, you want to think about painting texture. To do this, you'll use different brushstrokes and techniques. To create textured surfaces such as trees, tap the brush on the painting surface repeatedly. This will dab the paint without blending it. You can then layer darker and lighter values in the same manner. For a smooth surface, you will want to blend your paint. To do this, put the main color down, then add the lighter color for the highlights or the darker color for the shadows. And at the edges, use a back and forth brush stroke to bring the color together and make a smooth transition from one area to the next. So just to kind of break this down for you, the painting process, one, you're going to just determine the subject matter of your painting. What's going to be in the painting? What's going to be in the background? What's going to be in the middle ground? What's going to be in the foreground? And then two, start with a basic sketch on your paper, including those foreground, middle ground, and background areas. Then start painting from the background to the foreground, adding color, value, texture, and detail. There are 2 videos on this slideshow where I demonstrate working from the background to the foreground and adding texture. If you wish, you could choose also to do a still life, which is a painting of objects, usually fruit and flowers, like in this still life with Fruit by Caravaggio. It's a good way to practice these techniques, but you are not limited to the subject matter of still life. I hope this helps. Please reach out if you have questions, and have a great day.